I got some work in from Rania, and it's so great. I thought I would make a video to show you what I'm talking about with regards to the PowerPoint and the Pinterest. So, the purpose of the film director presentation is really to put together all the things we've looked at so far about directorial concept and what it means to be an auteur of a film. So, as a reminder, what that means is directors alone are like authors are to books. They are responsible for everything that is within the film. And that's one particular thing from film theory. So, Hitchcock, this is a great example of what you could put together for your chosen director. Um, you don't need really very many, you don't really need any biographical information, but there you can see when he was born. His famous films, Hitchcock was really a classic director. The Birds, if you've ever seen it, I don't know if you have, tremendously good film, tremendously well made, very much Hitchcock style. He was a expert, he was a master of suspense. Indeed, yeah, that's what it says here. So he could take, without having very huge sound effects or special effects, he could just make audiences very on edge, very scared. The classic scene, for example, from Psycho, with the stabbing someone in the shower, is a classic Hitchcock with and that's his sort of hallmark. This business of color palettes, if you go to the website that's listed, Colors of Motion, you'll see these kinds of things come up. Okay, the films come up by director, and these are the overall impression of watching the film and the colors that dominate. Again, color is not an accidental thing, it's manipulated. Sound effects, there's some background on this particular, how he used sound. Music as well, you can look at that. You will find plenty of sources on the internet that tell you about your director, hallmarks of the director, and the things that he is good at and has done. So let's clear that. Also, tropes. So these are things you often see in films. Blonde women as victims, very Hitchcock style. Claustrophobia. Another thing with Alfred Hitchcock, he always appeared in every film in some way, whether just as a pedestrian on the street or as someone in a shop. He always made a point of having himself on there. So those are the kind of tropes. A trope is a kind of a visual metaphor, or rather a visual cliche. The example I gave was the gangster who is, sunglasses, leather jacket, cigar, that kind of thing. Those are tropes, because in the films, in the movies, gangsters look like that. In real life, they don't really. Okay, so that's one example of a very good PowerPoint. The other thing is Pinterest. So I try to explain in the notes what a mood board is. And the reason that's important, let's look firstly at this one on Eastern Europe. So again, it's rather related to visual cliches and to sort of almost stereotypes in a way. When we think of Eastern Europe, we end up having certain things that dominate in the viewer's mind. Large buildings with domes, like the gilded domes, are very Eastern European. This matters because when we look at the Grand Budapest Hotel, it's the whole thing is just one big visual cliche of an imagined Eastern Europe from the 1920s. Okay, so those are the things that the director focuses on. The same applies to the luxury hotels, which hold a great deal of mystique and interest to viewers. So this, I think, is this is a hotel in Hong Kong, it says, but that could easily belong in a film set. This as well is a typical, very charming looking reception desk, and so is this one, both of which look like they belong in a film. And so a mood board really helps to bring forward the visual elements that can be used. Okay, so these are what two examples of good work would look like.